Deracine, a new exclusive PlayStation VR game developed by FromSoftware, may have just dropped the biggest tease to the existence of Bloodborne 2 that we have gotten so far. While these are Easter eggs in a game that has nothing to do with Bloodborne, the references themselves, well, at least in my opinion, are FromSoftware indirectly teasing the coming of Bloodborne 2. And with Sony's PlayStation 5 apparently right round the corner, a FromSoftware launch title sounds highly plausible to me. Either that or From's messing around with us again, and they knew this may be a good marketing ploy to get free publicity for Deracine. Although I'm an optimist, so I'll have to go with the latter. With that said, let's get into the Bloodborne references found in Deracine, and there's no better place to start than with the Fiona Doll, which is a doll of the stone girl Fiona who appears in the unfinished tale. When a person has a bad dream, Fiona appears and helps them flee. Now, anyone who has had the honour of greeting death at the beginning of Bloodborne will know of the lifeless doll found in the hunter's dream. The very same doll that awakes after gaining one insight within the game. The very same doll that helps the player grow stronger and stronger until they reach a point that they can escape from the nightmare realm and awake in the waking world, of course all depending on the ending you get in Bloodborne. Although this description makes it very clear that this Fiona doll is a reference to Bloodborne's plain doll, and the small part of the sentence that states unfinished tale is basically suggesting, in my opinion, that the story of Bloodborne is not yet over and there is still a tale yet to tell, which just happens to be unfinished, which to me gives me the impression that FromSoftware are saying one of two things here. One, that Bloodborne will have a sequel one day, or two, Bloodborne 2 is currently in development, and I don't know about you, but that gets me really excited. Even so, it doesn't stop there. This Fiona doll has another little secret, which isn't so secret, but if you take a look at her 90-degree angled arms, they may seem familiar, and that's because if you stare at them long enough, she does the making contact gesture taken straight out of Bloodborne, which is used to communicate with the Great Ones, particularly the brain of Mensis. And if you happen to get the ending in Bloodborne where you become an infant Great One, you could say the doll is trying to make contact with us. This is where the next Bloodborne reference comes into play that is also found in Deracine, and it is the Seafarer Sage, described as a statuette of the Seafarer Sage that appears in an unfinished tale. It is said to appear in bad dreams to watch over those who attempt to leave. Now again, we have the whole thing of the unfinished tale for a second time, although I have not heard the name Seafarer Sage before, but to me it looks very much like the player after they've become an infant Great One. And one thing to note is, later on within Deracine, when the credits roll, there is an art piece that depicts the Seafarer Sage right beside the Fiona doll, which is very much like the moment the plain doll from Bloodborne picked us up as the infant Great One, which in all fairness pretty much confirms that these are indeed Bloodborne references. The final Easter egg that I am aware of in Deracine is the book named Blood and Bones, which has the description: this fabled land of gold, silver and sacrifices owed both its rise and fall to its inhuman warriors. They applied face paint brewed from blood, giving them the strength of the gods, and carved up their own bones crafting weapons of the gods, yet their legacy is neither here nor there. To me this sounds a lot like Bloodborne if its story was being told by someone who had only heard stories themselves of its world. I mean, Blood and Bone are very much a big part of Bloodborne's world, while the Great Ones can also be viewed as gods, and I can confidently say there are plenty of inhuman warriors within Bloodborne. With that said, the cover art of this book really gives me Bloodborne vibes because it seems fairly similar to the game's cover art, with the way the character has his back faced towards us equipped with a weapon that seems quite like the game's beast claw, so in general seems quite Bloodborne-y. It's clear as day that FromSoftware were totally referencing Bloodborne with each one of these Easter eggs within Deracine. For me, the biggest part of these references were the two words unfinished tale, which is open to interpretation, although I do believe they intentionally put them there to hint at the existence of Bloodborne 2. At the same time, at the end of the day, they could just be a nod to Bloodborne's universe, or like I said at the beginning, a smart marketing ploy for Deracine. Whatever the case, I love the fact that these exist, as it's always a joy to jump back into any part of Bloodborne's world, and I personally believe once PlayStation 5 hits, Bloodborne 2 won't be far behind. Other than that, I'm Playedbyviks. I hope you enjoyed the video, thank you for watching, take care, and I shall catch you guys in the waking world.